Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 23 of Creating a New World, the show about the 12 Visions world, a world of wealth, health, peace, love, and freedom that you can help create. My name is Bill Hunsaker. I'm your host, and I'd like to welcome my co-hosts for this morning's show. First of all, we have Bob McCaffrey, who's chair of the 12 Visions Party of New Jersey. Welcome, Bob.
Good morning, Bill. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for having me on.
We also have Harry Dolgen, who's treasurer of the 12 Visions Party of New Jersey. Welcome to the show, Harry.
Thank you, Bill, and good morning, Bob and Larry.
And we also have Larry Johnson, who is first vice chair of the 12 Visions Party of New Jersey and also an officer of the National 12 Visions Party. Welcome, Larry.
Good morning, Bill. Good morning, Harry. Good morning, Bob, and glad to be here this morning.
And as we always do, we'll start off the first section of the show with a reading of the 12 Visions. Anybody like to do that? I can bring them up real fast if nobody has them ready.
I could do it, Bill.
Okay, go right ahead.
The 12 Visions. Okay, Vision 1 is become the person you was meant to be. I'm reading from our beautiful coloring book this morning.
Excellent.
Very nice.
How did I know that?
Vision 2, live the life you was meant to live. And Vision 3, feel and be happy every day. And Vision 4, be young forever. And Vision 5, get the job of your dreams. And Vision 6, start your own company. And Vision 7, find true love in your life. And Vision 8, look great and feel great forever.
Yeah.
And Vision 9, become a genius. And Vision 10, surround yourself with geniuses. And Vision 11, become rich, become prosperous in life. And Vision 12, enjoy perfect physical and mental health. Those are the 12 visions you can integrate into your life. Thank you, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Thank you, Larry. Well done. Today's topic, and I fully admit I waited to the last minute to choose this one, but today's topic is higher or secondary education. In other words, going to college, going to university. Unfortunately, we've reached a point in today's world where it's very difficult for people to go to college, but also, ironically, at the same time, it's easier to get into college than ever before. The reason I say this is because once it became very easy to borrow money to go to college, colleges started lowering their standards so more people could enter college. It used to be that you really had to have, they had high standards for anyone that would come in, that would get an education at their institution. And lately, I've read several places where they've actually lowered the standards so they could bring in more people. And also another unfortunate aspect of our society nowadays is even though college education costs have skyrocketed, most of the additional money that it costs to get in a higher education nowadays, instead of going to improving the actual teaching that you get, it goes toward indirect things like, you know, more facilities, higher salaries for the administrators, and things like that. So that, you know, basically we have a world where the government has also intruded into getting a higher education, and it's you know, worse off. And now we have people who graduate and spend the rest of their life paying off the loan they took to get the education, and half the time you graduate with a doctorate and you find yourself working at McDonald's. So
that's right. That's right.
That's
They can't even pay. Yeah, they can't even pay back the student loan. I mean,
Right.
these kids that go to the Philippines to become a doctor because it's cheaper. Okay, and they have loans that are about 40 to 60 to $80,000. They come back, they can't even repay the loans because they can't even get a decent job. So you're right, they're working in a McDonald's or a Burger King, and what does that say about our society that we live in? You know, it sure doesn't encourage kids to go to college nowadays. You might as well go get a trade, like a plumber or electrician, you know, and so that way you don't have to pay the cost of college education. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. What do you guys think?
Well, you know, I agree with what you and Bill laid out, and it was, you know, kind of on the same thought pattern. I mean, it's a financial trap. The more higher, or as they put it, specialized the area you're in, as Harry pointed out, a doctor, you have to spend. You could come out of there owing $500,000.
Yeah, even more.
You know, you'd be so far in debt. And the illusion is most people think you need that to be successful. But if you look at the majority of successful people, they are not, or people who are well off, they didn't finish college. You know, and it's a money-making thing to keep people in debt. You know, I think there's only one state in the United States where that cost of going to college, you don't have to pay that. I'm not for not paying neither. But at the same time, you know, I'm not talking about a collective social approach. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that it goes from one extreme to the other, where they want to keep you trapped in debt under the illusion that you're going to really get an education. And if you come out of there knowing how to do something, you're so far in debt, you have to spend 10, 20 years just paying off that debt before you could turn a profit, whether you, whatever area you're going in, you know. So, I mean, whether it's in law or whether it's in medical, you know, or whether you want to learn a certain technology, you know, because of the laws of the country. Look, let's look at it and look at it from a wider perspective. All of these things are set up to actually keep you from being successful.
Yeah.
You know, and we're talking about the education system. It's a joke because people don't really come out of there landing on their feet. They come out upside down.
Yeah.
One of the things that I'm seeing in industry today is they don't want to pay for the skilled people. Like you talk about, instead of going to college, they should go for a trade. But I'm seeing in industry today, the people that have gone and gotten an education in a trade and know what they're doing in their field and know all the laws and the codes and that, the industry doesn't want to pay for them. What the industry wants is their supervisors and staff that they have on hand, they want them to take a common laborer that has no skills, no training other than maybe a grade school education or maybe a little bit of high school. They want you to take them and teach them how to do the job that they have to do. And you know, I find it's very scary sometimes When you got to take somebody that has no background, no theory in what's going on in the field that they're working on, and you got to put them in there and let them try and troubleshoot a machine or work on something that they're not familiar with, and it's just insane.
Yeah, you see this in your business, right, Bob?
Yeah,
Where
yeah,
you're in a factory, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
They don't want to pay the money for the skilled people. They're trying to cut costs every way they can.
Wow.
You know, one of the thing
Wow.
is the one thing that the college taps into is the young people who wants to live the life they want to live. And then what happens is they go pursuing that dream of whether it's to be in geometry or math or whatever it is, that passion that they have, they go after it. Then they get caught up in this trap of these illusions that do not allow them to really excel at what they want to become. Because the first thing is, if you don't have no money, you can't pursue. It's set up where you can't pursue what your dream is. So you got to find out how to get some money. Now, when you get the money, they give you enough money just to keep you in debt, where you have to worry about that as opposed to excelling in what your dream is. One thing about neothink is that whatever your passion is, you can pursue that. You don't need no college. If you do a survey of all the successful people in this country, and if you look back during the 30s, most of the people successful who became very wealthy, they didn't go to no college.
Right.
You know, that's just an illusion, and it's a money-making thing for, the government. That's the only one who's making money off of these here college tuition, that is high, and then it really is a business if you look at it. The schools that are using the different programs they set up to keep them wealthy, making money through TV, sporting events, that has become in major schools a big money-making thing off of these kids who are very talented, and they're exploiting them. Where these kids can't even they set it up with restricting them where they can't even make no money.
Yeah, well,
They're using
basically
their talent.
the schooling is just teaching them how to have a job. Even
Right.
the people that are doing the college degrees and their masters in that, basically that schooling is only teaching them how to perform a job. It's not teaching them how to think on their own and
Right.
become entrepreneurs and get out
Right.
there and do a business.
Right. Right.
Yes, I
Teaching them to
agree.
fit
In that,
in.
go
Fit
ahead,
in.
Harry.
I'm sorry, no. Teaching them to fit into the society's standard of what you should do when you go to college.
Right.
Go to college, get a good job, and pay debt. And that's all we're talking about here.
Yeah.
Right.
All about the money.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the best case scenario. In the worst case scenario, a lot of college course, well, I wouldn't say a lot, but some college courses are just there to push an agenda and fill a young person full of an ideology. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Interesting.
Instead of, I mean, basically, if we started with children and taught them how to think, they wouldn't need to go to college. They could learn what they needed to learn to, to pursue their passion in life on their own once they understood how to think and how to bring the knowledge together they needed to pursue, their dreams and their Friday night essence, to pursue that one thing that they're really passionate about on their own without someone telling them what they should be passionate about.
Bill, that's a good point, because when you start to see, as we have learned through integrated thinking, through neothink, that when you have that ability to integrate knowledge, to integrate information in a wider perspective, you don't really need that, because what it is restricted to the point where you're looking, one, some outside of yourself, and two, you're being specialized to the point you're waiting for somebody to tell you what to do in every facet of your life. And so that means that all you're doing is conforming to the status quo. And and that's such a boring life, because there's no creativity. You understand? The only creativity you usually get is from kids who are banging on something with some sticks, or somebody's trying to draw something that nobody's never seen before, or somebody's thinking about creating something to enhance human life. Those people are outside of the conformity.
Mm-hmm.
And if you really look at those people, are going to become successful.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're all told that those who are outside of conformity, you'll never amount to nothing. You'll never be anything. And then if they buy into that, then they don't become anything. But those who go against that, and you look back at them, they become highly successful.
Mm-hmm.
Because when they're told that, they believe within their deep core who they are, that I will make it. I will be successful.
So what are you saying, Larry? Are you saying we should have schools like the Miss Annabelle schools when kids are 6 or 7 years old and they go to school, that they should teach them how to become successful at a very young age? And of course you got to learn math, reading, and history and all that, but who's going to change that structure? That's the problem right now. Who's going to change that?
That's the problem, because the kids aren't learning to think on their own and do on their own. What I noticed with some of the young kids that are already in school, you try and teach them some of the principles where if they're reading a book, they should have a dictionary alongside of them. And if they come across a word, they should look that word up and find out what it means, so that they understand what they're reading. And then if they find another word in the dictionary that they don't understand, they should look that word up so that they understand what the dictionary is telling them.
Mm.
It appears today that the kids are taught to be too lazy, and they just don't want to put in that effort. I know with the kids that I've had here at my house, I've tried to teach them to do that. And they'd rather come up and ask you, what does this mean? Instead of taking and going in the dictionary and looking to see what the meaning of the word is.
Right.
And it's sad.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, they don't want to
learn how to the effort at a time.
Yeah, and another aspect of this is when you're taught to conform, or when you're taught to do what other people think you should do, you're actually suppressing the person you are. You're living a lie.
Mm. Yes.
Yep. And what I noticed, and what I tried to explain to the kids also, they all have these little iPads and whatever. I mean, so the world is available to them. All the information in the world is available.
Absolutely.
And what do? They're moving their thumbs, playing these stupid little games, instead of taking advantage of the information that's on the internet, that they can go and learn things that they want to learn about. They just won't put in that effort. It's too much work.
Could you believe I was getting stuck with spelling the name Barbara, right? So I went on my Google. Stupid as it might sound, how do you spell Barbara? It was right there.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I don't have to go ask somebody. This technology is so wonderful today that you can find answers to any kind of your problem that you have. And that's what the kids aren't doing.
Well, the thing is, some of them are taking advantage of that technology because that information is coming much faster, and it's being speeded up to with those who are taking advantage of them. Or like you look at, I look at like my grandkids, you understand, who can integrate right away with this technology and pick it up, where they're doing it so young now. And they're tying it all together in terms of how to do it, okay? But then at the same time, the overall structure is restricted to most of the kids. You understand? It's like, and that have that illusion that only a few people are allowed to make it or can make it, and that's not true. If you choose to be successful, if you choose to live the life you was meant to live, there is only thing holding you back is being conforming and yourself, because there's nothing outside of you going to give it to you other than you.
So at 5 years old, 6 years old, you go into kindergarten. You need teachers to teach the kids how to be able to think.
Yes.
Right, at a very young age.
Exactly.
So the question is, how do we begin to get that type of teaching in our educational system? I mean, we're stuck with the anti-civilization and their own agenda. So
the thing is, it's such a following mode.
Mm-hmm.
It restricts them in these classes to only think and hear what you're taught, rather than allowing, like, for example, when you teach integrated thinking and you don't teach kids how to connect, I would say, the puzzle pieces up in terms of you teaching a subject on history or teaching a subject on geology. You understand? You have to be able to allow them to see that and see how all the pieces connect up in those areas. That's when you start to get a wider perspective of learning information and integrating it, because it only becomes a kid's knowledge when he can integrate it how he sees it and then gives it back to you. If they cannot give it back to you after they integrate it, then it's not their knowledge. It means they didn't learn it. And once they can learn how to integrate it, then they can give it back to you. I mean, when a kid draws a picture of something in an art class and he put all these different things in it, and you might not know, you might look at that and not know what it is, but because he created it, he can tell you exactly what each piece of it is that he has put out, and that becomes his knowledge. That becomes his knowingness, his understanding of the world, and that information keeps growing, and it's like a puzzle. As he gets older, he starts keep integrating knowledge, and he becomes successful. The problem is the educational system keeps you in a specialized mode.
Following mode, too.
A following mode, yes.
So what do we do? How do we get it? How do we turn it around is the question. You know, it's good to talk about it here, but what steps can we take to turn it around?
I think the key is what we're doing. I think the key is we have to change ourselves. We have to work on ourselves.
And we have, as we're doing right now with this show, is make other people aware that they also can change themselves, and in doing so, create the new world that we all want.
Exactly. And you know, and that's so important, because when you start talking about people always, and you hear people always want to say, well, let's go get this person to change. Let's get this person off of drugs, or let's get this person off. No, you have to work on you. We work on ourselves. That will filter down to other people in your family, in your kids, and the different things that you're doing as you improve yourself to the new world that we want to create through the Neothink system of living. Then that will filter down to other people. You can't force people to want to change their life. Each individual has to make a choice on that. The problem is we're in this kind of collective, I don't know, like a collective move where everything has to wait till somebody tell us what's next.
I've been thinking about this for a while, and I'll go ahead and put this out here briefly, is that what I see is that there are three kinds of people in the world, and that there are a lot of analogies that people use and say these kind of things, but this is the one I've been thinking about. First, you have followers, And these are people that want to be told what to think or believe and do. Then you have leaders, who are people that want to tell people what to think or believe and do. And then you have self-leaders, who don't want to be told what to think or believe and do, and have no desire to tell anyone else what to think or believe and do.
Bill, out of
yeah.
those three that you laid out,
Mm-hmm.
the percentages of those who rises to the top of that.
Well, to continue my analogy, followers want a leader or leaders.
And that's the majority.
Yeah. Leaders want more followers because that's what they want. They want to be able to tell people what to think or do, and so they want more people to tell what to think or do.
Yeah, they want to control the people.
They thrive on that. They thrive on that. Yeah.
And self-leaders want more self-leaders, so that there's fewer people either coming to them saying, "What do I do?" or trying to tell them what to do. So, right now, a majority of people are followers, and a smaller percentage are leaders, and an even smaller percentage are self-leaders.
Right.
And I think we all here are self-leaders, and we want more self-leaders, and that's why, that's what the Neothink Society is about, helping people become self-leaders.
Right.
Unfortunately, right now, the leaders are in control of the world, and they want more followers. So, and I'm not saying people get together in some back room and make plans. I think subconsciously they create policies and do laws and rules and regulations and everything to create more followers. And our education system, especially here in the U.S., is designed to create followers.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
What I see is we as parents and the parents of young children have to take at a very young age and encourage the children to start to think more on their own.
Yeah.
And we don't see a lot of that. But I have noticed that people that do take and teach the children at a very young age to think on their own, the children that do that do become more successful.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And I think we're all born with, because whether you're a follower or a leader or a self-leader depends on a combination of personality traits.
Right.
And we're all born with the potential for certain personality traits. And the only people that get through our education system not being followers are those who have a really strong personality to either be a leader or a self-leader. Yeah. Really strong, so that their dominant personality fights off, the indoctrination.
Part of the problem with that, Bill, in the school system, they take a child that they see like that. Sometimes the child is a little overbearing and a little energetic. So right away he's hyperactive, and we got to give him medication to calm him down.
Exactly.
Control him in the class. So the schools are doing that type of thing to try and keep the children down, so that they have conformity in the class, and the class is a nice, quiet area, as opposed to, the children experimenting and learning.
Yeah, because it, even before, if somebody was too much of a free thinker or a rebel, before they came up with this chemical solution, they just kick you out of school.
Yeah.
You'd be expelled, and then, you'd end up, doing a labor job for the rest of your life, because nobody would hire you or train you for anything else. And nowadays they just, they found that chemicals will suppress people, and because all the medication, quote unquote medications that they prescribe for, for children that won't sit docilely in class. And,
Ritalin.
Ritalin and those things basically, disconnect your mind.
Yep.
so that you can't integrate. You can't, think for yourself. So that's just another way in. And of course, they rationalize this by saying that the child has a problem and we're helping with the problem. But, like I said, I don't think the leaders in our world, and also leaders have made it, so everybody thinks that they're good for people, that they're helping the world and they're leading us, and by leading us they're making the world better, and they're spreading that illusion, that propaganda, so that we don't start thinking for ourselves and rise up and displace them, because they want to continue to be leaders.
But part of that is that they think that if there wasn't leaders, there would be chaos.
Yes.
They think that if you don't have somebody leading you, that everything would be like pandemonium. Nothing would work, and that is so far from the truth. When you look at it, and it has to do with that whole, I guess, geocentric view, of how people view the world, and we look at it as a centric view, where we, look at it, no, you're not going to get in a boat and go off the edge of the world and fall off. But that view is holding society back. And each time as knowledge integrates, and people are really learning how that they can lead themselves, okay, it's something that we really push. When people get past that fear of whether it's your physical health, whether it's your mental health, or whether it's your emotional health, we all give that to somebody else. When you give all that away, you have nothing.
Absolutely.
So that means that then that's where the leaders step in and say, I'm going to tell you what you need to do. And when people get sick, first thing they want to do is go run for somebody to tell them what's wrong with them.
What's wrong with them. I see that in my personal life. Yep, I see that in my personal life with my wife. It's got to run to every single doctor for anything, rather than stay home, do some research, and see what alternatives that she can do. So you're right. You're absolutely right. I see that.
Well, but the thing is, it has to do with self-responsibility. And that's what it comes back to, that we, as neo thinkers, we really push that, and tying that back into the subject we're talking about, is that we need to really push for these kids to integrate knowledge, to be able to teach them how to do the hard thinking, and how they can learn information, that they don't be afraid to follow your dreams without somebody guiding your dreams.
Yeah, one of the basic aspects of being a self-leader is that you take 100% responsibility for everything in your life. That you don't blame other people, that you don't, and you make your own decisions, and you live with the consequences of those decisions, and take responsibility for those consequences, and don't try to say it's the government, or that's, it's my parents, or,
Right. Exactly.
It's a hard concept to overcome, because we're so ingrained with programming and following. It's very hard to.
But the thing
get
is
rid of
that people running the show want you to be that way. They set all these programs up so
you're indoctrinated to be a follower, not because people who are leaders are consciously saying, I got to make everybody followers. This is, I've heard in many places that we do 80 or more % of our thinking subconsciously, and depending on how conscious you are, and that's an aspect of how conscious you are. I think we do more thinking consciously than the average person, because the average person is taught not to think subconsciously. That's part of the indoctrination to be a
Exactly.
follower.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah, and a lot of the followers just lose hope because they don't have any dreams.
Yeah.
They're in a state of mind where no matter what it is that they might dream, there's no way that they can possibly get it. So that with that attitude that they can't get what they want, why should I even pursue it? Why should I put in the effort to do anything?
And you give up. You
Yeah, it
give
all
up
comes
and
down to the
follow.
basic idea of whether you believe or whether you think that people are basically good or basically bad and have to be controlled.
Yeah.
And it's just the opposite. Basically, all people are good.
Hmm. I mean, one way I express this is we can accomplish much more through cooperation than we can through coercion and force.
Mhm.
Right. Right.
Interesting.
And on that note, I'm going to close out the discussion. It ran a little longer than I
Interesting
intended.
topic, though. Very
Absolutely, I think it was an excellent discussion, and because it ran long, we're not gonna we're gonna skip Where's the Force for this show,
Too bad.
and move on to the next part of the show, which is creating the 12 Visions world, and continue our discussion of the 12 Visions Party national platform. And right now we're on page 28, the section titled Wealth, Money, Supply. And I'm going to go ahead and read this. It's not a very long section, and we'll discuss it briefly. I want to get at least the next section after this in today's show.
What chapter is that, Bill?
It's in the split run section of the national platform. It's on page 28 on the version I have. And the heading is Wealth, Money, Supply. So I'm going to go ahead and start reading while everyone else finds the place. First, the obvious. Money flows into Hamilton, America from immigrating business owners, investors, and wealthy dynasties. Second, those value job creators and investors create new wealth. That unprecedented rise in money and wealth, that tsunami of prosperity, flows into the country of no taxes. Sister country America suffers a great loss of money and wealth, and whatever money and wealth are left flow into Hamilton, America. Indeed, American business owners and investors want nothing to do with rising taxes, especially when Hamilton, America is an option. And as if the tsunami of wealth and prosperity are not enough, another remarkable phenomenon of good fortune happens in Hamilton, America. Never before has any country entered into the great technological revolution. The forerunners, the clouds before the great technological storm, were the computer and information revolutions during which costs collapsed to fractions and buying power multiplied 1,000-fold, making all consumers in those countries essentially rich. Yet unlike deflation, in which prices are driven down because of less and less buyers due to increasing poverty, the great technological revolution enjoys more and more buyers due to increasing wealth. Indeed, rapidly falling prices in the great technological revolution make Hamilton American citizens wealthy and add never before seen new wealth to the new and booming nation. I mean,
Interesting.
basically now in the world we live in reality, most people are poor because, one, every year the money they earn buys less and less, and two, the government takes up to half of their income if you count direct taxes and fees of the government, and then you count the cost of overregulation of industry. Half your money goes to the government, and then what's left buys less and less every year. So I think I'm even though I'm making the most money I ever have in my life, I'm less well off now than I was when I was in the Air Force and only making about $5 an hour on the salary I was receiving as an enlisted person in the Air Force.
Yeah, what I noticed that I find interesting, Bill, that just come to mind while you were reading that. I'm reading through the tax laws, and as I had said to you earlier, it's amazing how they restrict how much you can put into a political party or organization
Mm-hmm.
that you're building, and you're restricted. But yet, when it comes to taking money out of your pocket to go to the taxes, there are no restrictions.
None.
They will take as much as they can get from you, and there's no fairness in it.
Yeah, every year they try to figure out new and different ways that they can take money from you.
Yeah.
I mean, now just about any time money changes hands, there's a representative of the government there with their hand out to take their cut, pretty much.
Yeah, I got to just relate this to one story in real estate. You have to take in New Jersey, you have to take 75 hours pre-licensing to get your real estate license. There's a company that administers the testing all over the United States. They're called CSI. The way they set up their tests is they give a lot of double negative questions. They want people to fail. The charge to take the test is like $60 around the country. So they set up the test very, very hard because they want people to fail so that they will retest and pay an additional $60. It's all about money. You know what I mean? They kind of do it on purpose. And this is what goes on in the real estate industry. I'm just giving you guys an example. So they have 100,000 people failing. What does that come out to at $60, 600 million or something like that? You know, it's absurd. Rather than giving you questions and testing you on your knowledge, they don't do that. They test you where they want you to fail. They make it very hard. They give a lot of double negative questions. Because I know this because Bev is going to be taking her state exam in the next 3 weeks or so. So I warned her how this CSI, who's the pre-licensing testing center all over the country, this is the tactics that they use to get people to fail. And there are a lot of people that do fail, and they make tons and tons of money.
Yeah,
it's obscene.
I took that test and I passed it, and I have
CSI.
Yeah, at New Jersey. But the thing is, from this chapter that Bill's read, the one thing that, and we use in a hypothetical situation when we talk about Hamilton, America, in the analogy, but in a more wider scope, you really see right now, like how the prices of everything is falling. Like, for example, and we talk about the great technological revolution. Here in New Jersey, we look at the price of gas has fallen. It's some places it's $1 something. If you go in the places of these clothing stores and these sales, that in order for them to stay competitive, the prices are falling on everything. Okay, and that's why with the whole Neil Think perspective, you get a wider view of the only thing that's really holding us back is the restrictions, and things that don't come out with restrictions, like computers came out, they didn't catch that. There are no restrictions. I think this Uber thing is going around right now, that got through with no restrictions, and they didn't catch that. There's so many things that are integrating with prices are falling, that it's going to get to the point, it's going to be about your relationship with the customer.
I disagree with you slightly, Larry, but only from the aspect that I think what we're seeing now is really what's described in that section and called deflation rather than increase in wealth. Because I think the real problem here is so many people are descending into poverty that all these retail outlets that you're talking about are getting fewer and fewer customers. And in order to sell the goods they have to lower the prices. And also, I think that, I mean, basically the price of gasoline has been real. There's been the major oil companies, because they really have pretty much monopoly ability, have been charging a huge markup for gas. I mean, you can see that because ExxonMobil every quarter is reporting huge profits because they were able to charge a huge markup on the price of gas, and now it's come to the point where they're starting to get less and less profits because people just can't afford those high prices, and it's the deflation described in the chapter. Fewer buyers, fewer customers, as opposed to wealth creation. The kind of thing we're talking about in the 12 Visions world is where people are actually finding ways to more efficiently produce the goods and services that they're providing, and therefore they're able to lower the costs, and therefore the money you have buys more and more because they're able to lower the cost, and finding new and easier ways to produce those goods and services, and new goods and services creatively.
Well, the thing is, Bill, when you look at the goods and services we have now, and those that will be created, as those prices fall, it's showing you how eventually, through a whole nother 12 Visions world, people can literally be rich.
Yes.
Because of the prices, and you're getting a glimpse of that, whether it's through the technology right now, or you're getting a glimpse of that, whether it's through the prices of consumer goods that's falling. Okay, you're getting a glimpse of that world that all people will be able to integrate and live in a free society without restrictions. Okay, and you're seeing examples of that because of the wider perspective that we can see. We know we're not there because they're always coming up with restrictions, but because things slip through that has no restrictions on them, it shows you the potential that if there was no taxes like they push here in Hamilton, America, people would live a prosperous, rich life if there was a protection-only budget.
I agree with you. Nowadays you can buy a computer for $200-300.
Yes.
That is much more capable of that's hundreds of times as capable as computers even 30 years ago that cost thousands of dollars.
This little computer I have in my hand right now,
right.
I don't know if you could see it, this right here. The capabilities of this thing here is unbelievable.
Yes, I have the same thing.
And the thing is, mine's though, with the apps that they've created, I could use it for work. All my work is downloaded for the day on here. I can work. I can send, and while I'm working, I can send text messages. I can talk to somebody. I could do 3 or 4 things at one time on this little device while creating a living.
Yes, and you can carry it around too. It used to be, unless you wanted to spend thousands and thousands of dollars for a huge thing that you had to carry around in your car, you had to be home or at work in order to just call somebody.
Now you can do it and make money from anywhere in the world.
Yeah, and Larry, when I mentioned before about that PSI, I was trying to drive home the point that consumers don't have a choice who to go to. They control the market, okay, with the government. They have the only contract to administer these pre-licensing exams, which is a shame. There's really no free enterprise where there's supply and demand. They control all the resources. So it's either you pay that money or you don't take your pre-licensing test. There's no other organization that you can compete. They can't compete with anybody else. That's my point, and that's what got me upset.
Right.
Because they control the game. You understand?
Yeah, it's similar.
There's no competition, is what you're saying.
it's similar in the information technology industry. You know, system administrators, you know, the computer professionals that
Yeah.
work, you know, in those air-conditioned rooms in your company where they have the huge computers and everything. That's the same thing. There's one company that administers all the tests to get certified to be a Windows systems administrator. You know,
Right.
and
So what Harry's basically saying is there's no competition there.
and there's no competition there either. It's the same thing.
Right.
Yep.
That's what I'm
That's
hearing.
what I was trying to say,
Right.
Larry.
Yep.
Said it poorly, but I hope I cleared it up a little
Yep.
bit.
So, as usual, we had an excellent discussion on that particular topic, so we don't really have time to
Where's
move
the
on
time
to the
going?
next section. But
Where's the
excellent
time?
discussion. I'm
Man.
not bemoaning anything because I think this has been an excellent show.
Yeah.
Um,
Need
so
more
we
time.
yeah, but we don't want to spend 2 hours, even though we could discuss the possibility of that in the future. But right now, we want to stick with the time we have. And respect our own time. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to the section of how you can help create the 12 Visions world, and basically go over again. You know, first and foremost, the simplest thing to do is to talk to other people about it. Tell them, you know, what you think about it, how you feel about it, and just basically make other people aware that this is a possibility. If you want to, you can become even more involved by connecting with the 12 Visions Party organization in your state, or if it doesn't exist, help connect with other people and help create the 12 Visions Party in your state, and become involved at whatever level you want. Either become a volunteer who will help out when they're doing things, or become a financial supporter if you have the means, and contribute money to your state's 12 Visions Party or to the national 12 Visions Party, or you can actually become involved in the planning and implementation of the 12 Visions Party in your state by becoming an officer, either at the state level or at a lower level. And also, you can become involved in the Neothink Society. My understanding is we have a new contact number, which I haven't updated the information on the blog yet because I didn't get that information. But if anyone on here knows that, they can send me the information. I'll be happy to update it. And if anyone has that information, they can share it here, how you can get involved in the Neothink Society and help other people to become, as I've said before, self-leaders, help other people learn how to think and take control of their lives, and that will help create the world we want to live in too, the new world we're trying to create. Anyone else have any comments on this topic? Go ahead, Harry.
Yeah, I've been trying, guys. I've asked Sage for a list of all the guests that appeared at the summit. And when I get it, I'm going to go call these people and talk to them about the show and Neothink, and let them listen to the replays. They're free replays.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're interested, then they can get in touch with William Hunsaker or myself, and I'm going to give them the Blogspot number to create a new world, blogspot.com.
Yep, that's to create a new world.blogspot.com. Also, if you want to contact us, you can send an email to cnwshow@gmail.com. And also, that's another way you can help create this new world by telling people about the show and letting them know that it's free to watch and listen to, and therefore anyone can listen to it. There's no cost involved. And also, we're in the process of developing this show as a podcast, and that will be coming in the next couple of months as I personally continue to learn the technology and information I need to create an audio podcast from the show. And as that develops, it will be announced here and also on the Blogspot blog. Anyone else have any comments at this point?
No,
not
well, I'm
hearing.
just going to say we want
Yes, go
people
ahead.
to do we want people to listen and watch the replays,
Mhm.
and then they're more than welcome to give us comments. We'd love to
Absolutely.
hear what we need to do to improve it, what they liked about the show, what they didn't like the show, because it's actually for the show is for everybody out there,
Hmm.
Yes.
not really
So
us. I mean,
one
yeah,
suggestion, maybe you might want to look at creating a flyer that we could pass out to people with the information on the flyer of how they can get on the show.
I'd be more
Actually,
than happy
actually,
to
we
send that
we
out.
do have. I did create a flyer for the NeoThink event last week, and I'll be happy to share that with everyone.
Yeah,
So they're welcome to reproduce
hand
that
it out.
flyer and
Absolutely.
That'd be great.
pass it out.
Right. That'd be great.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and close the show now, and I've written myself a handy script for this. I want to thank everyone for viewing the show, either through the recording or watching us live as we record the show. And I'd like to thank our co-hosts. First, I'd like to thank Harry Dolgen for joining us and contributing to the show. Thank you, Harry.
Oh, it's a great show, and it makes it great because we got Larry on and Bob on and yourself. That's what really makes it a good show.
And I would like to thank Larry Johnson for joining us on the show. Thank you very much, Larry.
Oh, thank you, Bill. I always look forward to creating this new world. So we're doing it, and let's just keep doing it.
And I'd like to thank Bob McCaffrey for joining us. Thank you, Bob.
You're welcome, Bill, and thank you for having me on. And I enjoyed the show, and I like Larry. I look forward to it, and I'm looking forward to the new world that we're going to create.
And I want to thank our viewers, both anyone who's watching the show live, and also anyone who watches the recording of the show or the eventual podcast of the show. And just to reiterate a few things, if you have any questions, please send them to cnwshow@gmail.com. I'd love to hear feedback about how we're doing the show, any ideas to improve it, so that it becomes a show that everyone wants to watch or listen to. You can watch previous episodes at tocreateanewworld.blogspot.com. Like us on Facebook. Just search for CNW Show on Facebook and like our page. Join our Google Plus community. Just go into Google Plus communities and search for CNW Show. You can also support the show by telling your family and friends about it. And you can support us financially by going to patreon.com/creatinganewworld and pledging $1 or more an episode. All opinions expressed on the show are the sole responsibility of the individual participants and do not represent the NeoThink Society, the 12 Visions Party, or author Mark Hamilton. Creating a New World is a production of Integrated Values, LLC, and I wish everyone wealth, health, peace, love, and freedom.
Bye-bye, guys. Bye, everybody.